The emergency session of the Galactic Council was unlike anything in their recorded history. Representatives from all 12 species gathered in the Great Hall, but this time there was no boasting or pride. Instead, there was fear and confusion, as they tried to understand what the human discovery meant for their entire civilization. Commander Zethkar stood before the assembled aliens, his gray armor-like skin pale with stress. The report he was about to give would shatter everything the Council believed about strength and survival. "Fellow Council members," he began, his voice trembling slightly, "we have made contact with the humans of Earth. Everything we assumed about them was wrong. Everything we believed about ourselves may also be wrong." Admiral Nixala activated the holographic display, showing images from their visit to human facilities. The Council members watched in growing alarm as humans worked, casually in conditions that would kill most of them instantly. "Their world is not a garden paradise," Nixala explained. "It is the most dangerous planet we have ever encountered. Yet humans do not just survive there, they thrive. They have turned their entire planet into a training ground for surviving the impossible." The Velthari representative, who had been so proud of surviving acid storms, watched video of humans flying aircraft directly into hurricanes with winds over 200 miles per hour. Her blue skin turned almost white as she realized her species' greatest achievement was just a Tuesday afternoon for humans. The Krillian delegate who had boasted about high-gravity worlds sat in stunned silence as he learned that humans regularly trained in gravitational fields twice as strong as his species' homeworld. What his people considered the ultimate test of strength, humans used for basic physical fitness. Diplomat Thrix clicked frantically as he processed the information about human diving capabilities. The crushing ocean depths that would implode. The strongest Thrakari vessels were recreational diving spots for humans. Children learned to swim in waters that would kill his species instantly. "How is this possible?" demanded the Zephyrite representative. "Our radiation worlds are among the most dangerous in the galaxy. No organic life should be able to survive there." "Humans evolved next to a massive nuclear reactor they call the Sun," Zethkar replied. "They are blasted with radiation every day of their lives. They actually need radiation to survive. What we consider lethal doses, they consider necessary for health." The council chamber erupted in panicked discussions as species compared their greatest achievements to human daily life. The Saurians who lived near volcanic activity learned that humans had built entire cities next to active volcanoes and used the lava for energy. The ethereals who survived in gas giant atmospheres discovered that humans regularly sent people into space storms that would tear apart most spacecraft. "What do these humans want from us?" asked the Merdani representative, her gills fluttering with anxiety. "If they are this powerful, they could conquer us all." The question brought silence to the Great Hall. Every species was thinking the same thing. If humans could survive conditions that made the Council's greatest achievements look easy, what did that mean for the balance of power in the galaxy? Dr. Lisa Park's voice filled the chamber as Zethkar played her recorded message. "We want the same thing we have always wanted, to explore, to learn, and to make friends among the stars. Earth taught us that survival is not about avoiding challenges. It is about facing them together." The message continued with Lisa explaining human philosophy. "We do not see strength as something to hold over others. We see it as something to share. Our planet made us tough not so we could dominate, but so we could help others achieve things they never thought possible." The council members listened with growing amazement as Lisa described human plans for cooperation. Humans wanted to help. Other species explore worlds they had written off as impossible. They offered to share techniques for surviving in extreme environments. They proposed joint missions to places the Council had never dreamed of reaching. "They want to help us," whispered the ethereal representative. "These beings who could destroy us all want to be our allies." Captain Jake Morrison's message played next, his calm voice contrasting sharply with the aliens' panic. "We understand that our capabilities might seem threatening, but we have learned that the strongest survive not by standing alone, but by lifting others up. We would like to offer our assistance in exploring regions of space you have considered unreachable." The proposal that followed stunned the Council into silence. Humans offered to lead joint expeditions to worlds the aliens had classified as completely uninhabitable. They suggested sharing survival techniques that could open up entire new sectors of the galaxy for colonization. The vote on humanity's membership status was unanimous. Not only would humans be granted full membership in the Galactic Council, but several species quietly requested human assistance in exploring their own impossible worlds. 3 months later, the first joint human-alien expedition launched toward a world the Council had written off as a death trap. The planet had crushing gravity, toxic atmosphere, extreme temperatures, and radiation levels that would cook most organic life. It was exactly the kind of place humans found interesting. Commander Kate Sullivan led the human team aboard a specially modified vessel designed to handle the planet's harsh conditions. The alien crew remained safely in orbit while humans landed on the surface to establish the first research station. "Surface conditions are stable," Kate reported as she walked across the planet's rocky terrain. "Gravity is about 4 times Earth normal, atmosphere is mostly sulfur compounds, temperature is holding steady at 180 degrees, and radiation is definitely present but manageable." The alien crew watched their monitors in amazement as humans worked. On the surface, in conditions their equipment classified as instantly lethal. Within hours, the humans had established a functioning research base and were collecting samples that would revolutionize the aliens' understanding of extreme life forms. Dr. Carlos Rodriguez discovered the first new life forms within days of landing. Creatures that fed on radiation and thrived in the toxic atmosphere promised to unlock secrets that could benefit all Council species. Back on Earth, Dr. Lisa Park was already planning the next expedition. The galaxy was full of worlds the Council considered unreachable, and humans were eager to explore them all. But more importantly, they were eager to show their new alien friends that impossible was just another word for not yet achieved. The Galactic Council had spent centuries boasting about surviving on dangerous worlds. Now they learned that the greatest strength was not just surviving, but helping others survive alongside you. The humans from the little blue planet had taught the galaxy's greatest survivors a lesson they would never forget. Within a year, human-led expeditions had opened up dozens of previously unreachable worlds. The galaxy became a bigger, more accessible place as humans shared their techniques for turning impossible conditions into new opportunities. The Council's annual meeting was very different that year. Instead of species competing to prove who was toughest, they celebrated joint achievements and planned new cooperative missions. Commander Zeth Carr stood at the podium, looking out at the assembled representatives with gratitude instead of pride. "We have learned that true strength is not about surviving alone," he announced. "It is about surviving together. The humans have shown us that the galaxy holds no impossible worlds, only worlds we have not yet learned to call home." In the back of the hall, Captain Jake Morrison smiled as he listened to the alien leader's words. Earth had taught humanity many lessons about survival, but perhaps the most important was that the strongest species were not those who conquered the most dangerous worlds, but those who helped others discover they were stronger than they ever imagined. Commander Zethkar stood in the airlock of his ship, checking his environmental suit for the third time. The alien delegation had requested a tour of human facilities to better understand these strange creatures they had discovered. What they were about to see would change everything they thought they knew about survival. Colonel Ryan Hayes had arranged the tour to begin at Earth's most remote research station. The aliens found themselves approaching Antarctica, a continent covered in ice where temperatures dropped to levels that would freeze most species solid in minutes. "We are landing at our Antarctic research facility," Captain Jake Morrison announced from the pilot's seat of the human transport ship. "Today's weather is a bit rough, but nothing unusual." The aliens looked at their instruments in horror. The temperature outside was minus 60 degrees Celsius. Winds were blowing at 80 miles per hour. Ice crystals flew through the air like tiny bullets. Their equipment classified the conditions as immediately lethal to organic life. Dr. Amy Chen met them at the landing pad. She wore simple insulated clothing and moved easily through the howling wind and ice. The aliens, wrapped in their full environmental suits, could barely stand upright in the storm. "Welcome to Antarctica," Dr. Chen shouted over the wind. "Sorry about the weather. It is a bit chilly today, but perfect conditions for ice core drilling." The aliens followed her through the blizzard, their heavy suits making each step difficult. Dr. Chen walked normally, occasionally stopping to point out interesting features of the landscape as if they were taking a pleasant stroll through a park. Inside the research facility, the aliens watched in amazement as humans worked with ice samples from deep beneath the surface. Dr. Chen explained that some researchers regularly camped outside in tents during the Antarctic summer, when temperatures only dropped to minus 20 degrees. "You sleep outside in such conditions?" Admiral Nixala asked through her suit's communicator. "Some of our researchers prefer it," Dr. Chen replied. "They say the indoor facilities are too warm and comfortable. They like the challenge of camping in the ice." The tour continued to Lake Vostok, a body of water buried under 4 kilometers of ice. The aliens watched human scientists prepare to drill down to the lake, which existed in conditions they had never imagined possible. The pressure down there would crush most spacecraft, Dr. Chen explained casually. "The water has been isolated for millions of years. We think it might contain life forms that have evolved in complete darkness under crushing pressure." "And you send humans down there?" Diplomat Thrix clicked in disbelief. "Not yet," Dr. Chen admitted. "But we have divers who work in similar conditions. Some of our people spend weeks underwater in high-pressure environments that would kill most species instantly." The next stop was the Mariana Trench facility in the Pacific Ocean. Engineer Pete Williams showed them the submersibles humans used to explore the deepest parts of Earth's oceans. The vessels looked tiny and fragile compared to the massive ships the aliens used for space travel. "This submarine can take 3 people down to the bottom of our deepest ocean trench," Pete explained, patting the side of the small vessel. "The pressure down there is over 1,000 times normal atmospheric pressure. The temperature is just above freezing and there is no light at all." Commander Zethkar examined the submersible with growing alarm. "This vessel appears to have minimal protection. How do the occupants survive?" "The hull is designed to handle the pressure," Pete replied. "The crew stays down for weeks at a time, exploring and collecting samples. Some of our best discoveries have come from the deep ocean." The aliens watched video footage of humans working on the ocean floor in conditions that would implode their strongest spacecraft. The humans moved calmly through the crushing darkness, collecting strange creatures and studying underwater volcanoes that spewed superheated water. The tour continued to the International Space Station orbiting Earth. Commander Kate Sullivan showed the delegation how humans lived and worked in the vacuum of space with only thin metal walls between them and instant death. "We have been living continuously in space for over 25 years, Kate explained as she floated in the station's main module. "People stay up here for months at a time, conducting experiments and maintaining the station." She led them to an observation window where they could see human astronauts working outside the station. The figures in white spacesuits floated freely in the void, using small jets to move around while performing complex repairs on the station's exterior. "They are outside in vacuum," Admiral Nixala whispered. "How are they alive?" "The suits provide air and protection," Kate replied. "But humans regularly work in space. We consider it just another workplace. Some of our people have spent over a year in space without returning to Earth." The aliens watched in fascination as the astronauts completed their work and returned to the airlock. They moved with casual confidence in an environment that would kill most species in seconds. The final stop was a volcano research station in Hawaii. Dr. Carlos Rodriguez studied active lava flows by walking within meters of molten rock that reached 200 degrees Celsius. The aliens remained in their ship, afraid to venture outside even with their protective suits. "This is our mobile laboratory," Carlos explained via radio as he approached a river of lava. "We use it to study volcanic activity up close. Understanding how volcanoes work helps us predict eruptions and keep people safe." The aliens watched their screens in horror as Carlos walked calmly beside molten rock that glowed white-hot. He collected samples and took measurements while standing in temperatures that would vaporize most alien species. "How do you survive in such heat?" Commander Zethkar asked, his voice cracking with stress. "Special suits and careful planning," Carlos replied. "But humans have been living near volcanoes for thousands of years. Some of our cities are built right next to active volcanic areas. We use the heat for energy and the soil for growing crops." The alien delegation returned to their ship in complete silence. They had seen humans casually working in conditions that their most advanced technology could barely survive. Every environment the aliens considered impossible was just another workplace for humans. That evening, the three aliens held an emergency conference with their home governments. Commander Zethkar struggled to find words to describe what they had witnessed. "They do not just survive on their death world," he reported. "They thrive in it. They seek out the most dangerous places and work there by choice. They treat conditions that would kill us as normal parts of life." Admiral Nixala added her own observations. "Their young learn to swim in waters that would crush our vessels. Their researchers camp in temperatures that would freeze us solid. Their workers function in environments our instruments cannot even measure safely." The response from the Galactic Council was immediate and alarmed. Emergency sessions were called as the news spread through their civilization. Species that had spent centuries boasting about surviving on harsh worlds realized they had been living in paradise compared to Earth. Back on the research station, Dr. Lisa Park reviewed the day's events with her colleagues. "I think we have opened their eyes to what humans are capable of," she said. Captain Morrison nodded. "The question now is whether they see us as allies or threats." "Based on their reactions," Colonel Hayes replied, I think they are starting to realize that we might be the ones offering them protection instead of the other way around. Dr. Lisa Park watched the alien delegation struggle with what they had learned during their first meeting. Commander Zethkar and his companions had spent 3 days on their ship, sending urgent messages back to the Galactic Council. Now they were ready for a second meeting, and Lisa could see they were nervous. "We would like to learn more about your world," Admiral Nixala said carefully. Her blue skin had turned a paler shade, and her voice shook slightly. "Our council needs to understand how your species developed." Lisa smiled and activated the holographic display in the conference room. "I would be happy to tell you about Earth. Let me start with some basic facts that might interest you." The first image showed Earth spinning slowly in space. It looked beautiful and peaceful with its blue oceans and white clouds. The aliens relaxed slightly when they saw it. The world still looked like a paradise to them. Earth has a surface gravity of 9.8 meters per second squared, Lisa began. "I know that seems normal to you, but this creates something we call weather. The gravity is strong enough to pull massive amounts of water vapor into the air and then slam it back down as rain." She changed the image to show a hurricane from space. The massive spiral of clouds covered an area larger than some countries. This is what we call a hurricane. Winds in these storms can reach over 200 miles per hour. They carry enough energy to power your entire civilization for months. We get dozens of these every year. Commander Zethkar leaned forward in his environmental suit. "Surely your people evacuate when such storms approach?" "Some do," Lisa replied, "but others fly aircraft directly into the storms to study them. We have people who chase these storms in ground vehicles for research and entertainment." The aliens made shocked noises as Lisa showed footage of human storm chasers driving toward massive tornadoes. These spinning columns of air could destroy entire towns and throw vehicles for miles. "This is impossible," whispered diplomat Thrix. "No intelligent species would deliberately approach such phenomena." Lisa continued with more images. "Let me show you our winter weather." The display filled with scenes of blizzards dumping meters, of snow across vast areas. Temperatures dropped to -40 degrees, and winds created whiteout conditions where humans could not see more than a few feet. "Your people must hibernate during such times," suggested Admiral Nixala. "Actually, we invented sports to play in these conditions," Lisa laughed. "Ice hockey, skiing, snowboarding. Children play outside in snow for fun." The aliens looked at each other with growing alarm. Their home worlds had weather, but nothing like what they were seeing. The idea of treating such dangerous conditions as entertainment was beyond their understanding. "Let me tell you about our geology," Lisa said, bringing up new images. The display showed massive earthquakes splitting the ground open and swallowing buildings. Volcanoes erupted with enough force to throw molten rock miles into the air. The aliens watched in horror as entire mountainsides collapsed in landslides. "These geological events happen regularly," Lisa explained. "We have built our cities knowing that the ground might shake violently or split open without warning. Some of our cities are built directly on fault lines, where earthquakes are most common." Commander Zethkar's voice came out as a croak. "How many of your people die in these disasters?" "We have learned to prepare for them," Lisa replied. "We build structures that can survive earthquakes. We monitor volcanoes and tsunamis. We turn disasters into challenges to overcome." The real shock came when Lisa began talking about Earth's oceans. 71% of our planet's surface is covered by water. Not shallow seas like most worlds have, but deep oceans reaching over 11 kilometers down. She showed images of the ocean depths, where the pressure would instantly crush any spacecraft. Strange creatures lived in the darkness, feeding on chemicals that would poison most life forms. The pressure at the bottom of our deepest trenches is over 1,000 times what you experience at sea level on most worlds. No species could survive such pressure, Admiral Nixala stated with certainty. Humans regularly dive to these depths in small submarines, Lisa replied. We have people who spend weeks at the bottom of the ocean studying the life forms that thrive there. The aliens were becoming more agitated with each revelation. Lisa decided to tell them about human evolution. Our species developed in Africa, sharing the environment with predators that could run 60 miles per hour, crush bones with their jaws, or kill with a single strike. She showed images of lions, tigers, crocodiles, and other predators that had shaped human development. We survived by becoming the ultimate endurance hunters. We would chase prey across vast distances until the animals collapsed from exhaustion. Most prey animals are faster than humans, but we can run longer than almost anything else. You hunted by exhausting your prey? Thrix clicked in disbelief. That requires incredible stamina and determination. It gets more interesting, Lisa said. Humans can survive for weeks without food and days without water. We can function with injuries that would kill other species. We instinctively know how to swim, even though we are land mammals. The aliens sat in stunned silence as Lisa continued. Our planet also hosts life forms that your council would consider impossible. We have organisms living in boiling acid springs, creatures surviving in Antarctica at -80 degrees, bacteria existing in our deepest ocean trenches, and life forms that actually feed on radiation. Admiral Nixala's voice was barely a whisper. What kind of world creates such creatures? Lisa smiled warmly. That is the thing you need to understand. We do not consider Earth a death world. We call it home. Everything you have described as impossible conditions are just normal parts of life for us. She brought up one final image showing children playing on a beach while a thunderstorm approached in the distance. Lightning flashed across the sky and waves crashed against the shore, but the humans seemed completely unafraid. Your people live with such daily danger? Commander Zethkar asked. We do not see it as danger, Lisa replied. We see it as life. Earth taught us that survival is not about avoiding challenges. It is about learning to thrive in spite of them. The alien delegation requested another recess to process what they had learned. As they left the conference room, Lisa heard Admiral Nixala speaking to her companions in their own language. The translation came through clearly. We are not the galaxy's greatest survivors. We are children playing in gardens compared to these humans. Colonel Hayes joined Lisa as they watched the aliens retreat to their heavily shielded ship. I think we have given them a lot to think about, he said. The real question, Lisa replied, is what they will do with this information. They came here expecting to find weak creatures who needed protection. Instead, they found something that makes their greatest achievements look easy. Captain Morrison appeared on the communication screen from the control room. Their ship is sending massive data transmissions back to their council. I think the galaxy is about to learn something new about humanity. Lisa nodded as she watched Earth slowly rotate on the display screen. Their beautiful, terrible, wonderful planet had shaped humans into something unique in the galaxy. The aliens were just beginning to understand what that meant. Captain Jake Morrison was drinking his morning coffee when the strangest signal of his life reached the orbital defense platform, New Horizon. The message came from deep space and contained mathematical patterns that proved it came from intelligent beings. Jake had been commanding the platform for 3 years and had never seen anything like it. The signal repeated every few hours and seemed to be some kind of greeting. The translation computers worked for days before they figured out what it said. When they finally decoded it, Jake could hardly believe the words on his screen. "Greetings from the Galactic Council," the message began. "We welcome the species known as humans to the greater cosmic community. We offer you protection and guidance as a junior member species. Please respond if you wish to accept our generous offer of membership." Jake read the message 3 more times before calling Dr. Lisa Park, Earth's top expert on the possibility of alien life. Lisa had spent her whole career studying what might happen if humans ever met beings from other worlds. She arrived at the platform within hours, bringing with her Colonel Ryan Hayes, who was responsible for planning Earth's defense against unknown threats. "This is really happening," Lisa said as she studied the alien message. "They seem to think we need protection. They want to treat us like children who cannot take care of ourselves." Colonel Hayes frowned as he read the translation. "Junior member. Species? They assume we are weak before they even meet us. This could be a problem." Jake agreed to send a response inviting the aliens to meet at humanity's research station in the asteroid belt. The station orbited between Mars and Jupiter and was used for mining and scientific work. It seemed like a good neutral place for first contact. The alien ship arrived 2 weeks later. It was massive and shaped like a crystal growing in all directions. The ship moved slowly and carefully through the asteroid field, as if the pilots were terrified of hitting anything. Jake watched from the station's control room as the alien vessel approached. "They seem very nervous about flying through the asteroids," noticed Dr. Park. "Their ship has enough shields to stop a missile, but they act like every little rock might destroy them." When the alien ship docked with the human station, the first surprise came immediately. The aliens had to wear full environmental suits even though the station was pressurized and safe. Their suits looked like they were built for exploring the inside of a volcano or the bottom of an ocean. 3 aliens came aboard the station. The leader introduced himself as Commander Zethkar of the Krillians. He was tall and covered in gray armor-like skin. His 2 companions were Admiral Nix-Ala, who had blue, shimmering skin, and a clicking insect-like being who called himself Diplomat Thrix. "We are honored to meet you humans," Commander Zethkar said through his suit's translator. "We have come to welcome you to the Galactic Council and offer you our protection." The meeting took place in the station's main conference room. The aliens sat on one side of the table while Jake, Lisa, and Ryan sat on the other. The aliens kept looking around, nervously as if they expected the station to explode at any moment. "Your species is fortunate," Admiral Nix-Ala began. "You have evolved on a safe garden world with easy conditions. Most species are not so lucky. The galaxy is full of dangerous places that would kill weak beings in seconds." Dr. Park smiled politely and asked, "What do you consider dangerous environments?" Commander Zethkar seemed happy to answer. "High radiation that cooks living tissue, extreme temperatures that can freeze or burn, crushing gravity that flattens bodies, toxic atmospheres that dissolve lungs, crushing pressures that implode organs, violent weather that destroys everything in its path." The 3 humans looked at each other with amusement. Colonel Hayes cleared his throat and said, "Those sound like the conditions we deal with every day. This meeting is taking place in what you would call a death trap." The aliens looked confused. Admiral Nix-Ala checked her suit's sensors and said, "What do you mean?" This station seems adequately protected. We are sitting in the middle of an asteroid field, Jake explained. Rocks the size of mountains are flying around us at thousands of miles per hour. One small navigation error and we would all be dead. The radiation from Jupiter is strong enough to kill most living things. We flew here through radiation fields that your sensors probably consider lethal. The alien suits began beeping with alarm signals. Diplomat Thrix clicked frantically as he checked his equipment. Our sensors confirm dangerous radiation levels. How are you not dead? Dr. Park laughed gently. We are used to radiation. Our planet sits next to a massive nuclear reactor we call the Sun. It blasts us with radiation every day. We actually need some radiation to stay healthy. Commander Zethkar's voice trembled slightly as he spoke. But surely you must be wearing protection. Your bodies cannot handle such conditions naturally. Colonel Hayes stood up and walked to the window that looked out into space. This suit I am wearing is just for comfort and air. Watch this. He pressed a button and his helmet retracted, leaving his head exposed to the station's atmosphere. The aliens screamed in terror and jumped back from the table. Their suits' alarms went crazy with warning sounds. Admiral Nix Allah shouted, "You will die! The radiation! The cosmic rays!" "I am fine," Ryan said calmly. "This station has basic shielding, but we work in much worse conditions all the time. Some of our people spend months in space with minimal protection." Dr. Park decided to explain further. Our planet might look peaceful from space, but it is actually quite challenging. We have weather patterns that would destroy your cities. Storms, with winds over 200 miles per hour that can tear apart buildings. Rotating air columns called tornadoes that can pick up entire houses and throw them for miles. The aliens sat in stunned silence as Lisa continued. We have earthquakes that can split the ground open and destroy entire regions. Volcanoes that blast molten rock into the air and cover whole areas with lava. Walls of water called tsunamis that can cross entire oceans and flood coastlines. Commander Zethkar's translator made strange crackling sounds before he managed to speak. But how do you survive? How did your species develop civilization in such chaos? Jake smiled and said, "We adapted. Earth taught us to be tough. What you call impossible conditions, we call Tuesday." The alien delegation sat in their heavily protected suits, staring at the humans who were casually sitting in what their equipment told them was a deadly environment. For the first time in their lives, the proud survivors of Death Worlds realized they might have met something tougher than themselves. The meeting ended with the aliens requesting permission to return to their ship to reassess the situation. As they left, Admiral Nix Allah whispered to her companions, "What kind of creatures are these humans? What kind of world creates such beings?" Jake watched their ship retreat to a safe distance from the asteroid field and smiled. "I think we just gave them something to think about." The great hall of the Galactic Council stretched across what seemed like miles of polished metal and crystal. 12 different species had gathered for their most important meeting of the year. Each alien representative sat in chairs made special for their bodies. Some needed water tanks. Others required special gas to breathe, and a few floated in energy fields that kept them alive. Commander Zethkar of the Krillians stood tall on his 4 thick legs. His gray skin looked like armor plating, and his eyes glowed red in the dim light. He walked to the center of the hall, where a massive hologram showed planets and stars. With a wave of his clawed hand, images of different worlds appeared in the air above them. "Fellow council members," Zethkar said, in his deep voice, "today We celebrate our greatest victories. We have conquered the most deadly worlds in the galaxy. We have survived where other species would die in minutes. The first image showed a world covered in storms. Lightning struck the ground every few seconds, and the air glowed with dangerous chemicals. Kepler 442b, announced Admiral Nixala of the Velthari. Her blue skin seemed to shimmer as she spoke. My people built cities here where the rain can eat through metal in hours. The temperature reaches 200 degrees, and the air would burn the lungs of weaker species. Yet we thrive there. Murmurs of approval echoed through the hall. The Velthari were known for surviving in places that killed almost everything else. Their cities on the acid world were famous throughout the galaxy. Next came an image of a world, split in half. One side burned bright orange, while the other side was covered in ice. Proxima 7, spoke the insectoid delegate from the Thrakari. His voice clicked and buzzed as he talked. One side reaches 800 degrees while the other drops to minus 180. We built our colonies right on the border where the heat meets the cold. Most species cannot even land there without their ships melting or freezing. More images followed. The Krillians showed worlds where gravity was so strong that normal beings would be crushed flat. Zethkar's people had built massive cities there, using their powerful bodies to work in conditions that would kill others instantly. Their workers could carry loads that would require machines on normal worlds. The crystalline Zephyrite displayed their radiation worlds. These places glowed with energy that could cook living things from the inside out. Yet the Zephyrite had learned to feed on this radiation. They grew stronger in places where other species would die in minutes from radiation poisoning. The aquatic Merdani showed their deep ocean worlds. These planets had crushing water pressure that could squeeze spacecraft like tin cans. The Merdani had built beautiful cities in trenches so deep that the pressure would instantly kill any land-dwelling species. They swam in waters that felt like liquid metal to others. Each species took their turn bragging about their achievements. The reptilian saurians lived on worlds where volcanic eruptions happened every day. They built their homes right next to lava flows and used the heat for power. The gaseous ethereals survived in the upper atmospheres of gas giants where winds moved at thousands of miles per hour. The bragging continued for hours. Each alien species tried to show they were tougher than the others. They displayed images of their most dangerous colonies and told stories of how they had conquered impossible worlds. The hall filled with the sounds of different languages as species argued about who had survived the worst conditions. Finally, a young aide rushed into the hall carrying a data pad. The small creature belonged to the Skrix, a species known for being excellent scouts and messengers. His fur was bright yellow, and his large ears twitched nervously as he approached the speakers. "Honored council members," the aide squeaked. "Our long-range scouts have found something interesting. We have detected a new species in a system they call Sol. The third planet appears to be inhabited by creatures they call humans." Zethkar looked down at the tiny aide with amusement. Another Garden World species, no doubt. "Show us what you have found." The aide activated his data pad, and new images appeared in the hologram. The council members saw a blue and green world with white clouds swirling around it. It looked peaceful and pleasant. The temperature readings showed moderate ranges. The gravity was normal. The atmosphere contained the right mix of gases for most carbon-based life. "How boring," laughed Admiral Nixala. "Look at that peaceful little world. Perfect temperatures, calm weather, protective atmosphere. These humans probably live in paradise." The other council members joined in the laughter. This new world looked like the easiest place to live they had ever seen. No acid storms, no crushing gravity, no deadly radiation. Just a quiet little planet, where weak creatures could live comfortable lives. "Look at this," chuckled the Thrakari delegate, pointing at the data. "Their gravity is barely above standard. Their temperatures stay in a tiny range. They probably have never faced real danger in their entire evolution." The Krillian commander studied the information with growing amusement. No extreme weather, no environmental challenges, plenty of water and plant life. These humans have clearly never had to fight for survival. They will make excellent servants once we bring them into the council. The other species nodded in agreement. It was obvious that these humans were another soft species from an easy world. The galaxy was full of such creatures. They usually made good workers and followers once the stronger species taught them their place. "We should send a diplomatic mission," suggested the Merdani representative, her gills fluttering with laughter. "We can offer them protection and guidance. They will be grateful to learn from superior species who have actually faced hardship." "Agreed," said Zethkar. "I will send one of our standard diplomatic vessels. We can offer them junior membership in the council. They can serve in the safe sectors, while we real survivors continue to explore the dangerous regions of space." The council members all agreed that this was the best plan. These humans from their garden world would be another easy addition to their collection of servant species. They would be grateful for protection and would probably worship the council members as gods once they learned about the deadly worlds the real species had conquered. As the meeting ended, the council members continued to laugh about the soft humans on their perfect little world. None of them could imagine that these peaceful-looking creatures might be anything more than another weak species waiting to be protected and guided by their superiors. The very idea that Earth might be anything other than a paradise was beyond their imagination.